Welcome to Ask Us Marketing. I'm your host. I'm Kalli Fedusenko. I am the founder of Savvy Advisor Marketing, a digital marketing agency developed to build relationships between financial advisors like you and your target audience using data to create websites, online content, and ads. We build relationships first and we grow numbers second. If you'd like to learn more about me and or Savvy Advisor Marketing, just scan this QR code to the side. And as always, our episode is brought to you by the Financial Planning Association, who you might know as the FPA. Great resource. They provide education, support, and networking opportunities. If you're not already watching on one of their channels, I encourage you to scan this QR code to learn more and get plugged in with other advisors like you. All right, so we've all heard the advice. You need to niche down. But actually committing to one specific group of people can feel terrifying. Today's guest didn't just pick a niche, he picked an audience with highly specific needs, a strict pension system, and a deep-seated skepticism of outsiders. I mean, it sounds pretty tough to crack there. However, he's built an incredible practice serving law enforcement officers. And today we're getting past the theoretical of why should I niche and looking at the exact blueprint of how he did it. So please welcome with me, Nick Daugherty. And Nick, I hope I said your last name right. I know another Daugherty, and I was like, hopefully it's pronounced the same way.
It's actually Daugherty, but don't worry, I'm used to it.
You just never know. And good luck on pronouncing my last name. Okay, so let's just jump right into this. When did you first decide that you were going to focus exclusively on law enforcement?
Well, I didn't really kind of decide. It just kind of happened to me. I mean, if you told me I was going to be a financial advisor, I probably would have laughed at you, probably about as much as I would have laughed at you if you told me I was going to become a cop. Uh, so in 2003, my best friend at the time had become a cop, and
Mhm.
I thought this looks really cool. So I decided to become one as well. The problem is I came into law enforcement with a lot of baggage. I had
Mm.
$80,000 in debt. 21,000 was tied up in one car stereo system, all on credit cards. I did stupid on
Sorry, it was the
steroids.
car stereo system
Yeah,
that got me
just just
there.
just a car stereo system. I got stuck into the law enforcement trap called overtime, where if I didn't work 20 hours every week, I couldn't pay my bills, which isn't sustainable.
Mm.
Met the love of my life that became my fiance that wasn't $80,000 in debt. She was debt free, and I had to come up with a plan to pay off all my debt. So I fell in love with the debt snowball mentality. And over 24 months, I
Mm.
worked 1,000 hours of overtime. I paid off all of our debt before we got married. That's when the financial advising kind of hit because I went and met with a bunch of financial professionals to learn about investing, and most of them
Mhm.
talked to me like I was dumb. And so I
Yep.
told my wife I have to teach myself the financial planning world, and then I became the expert at my department on financial planning and our pensions. And
Mm.
in 2011, my chief said, "Hey, I want you to develop a financial wellness class to teach the department about money." Little did I know that it would turn into now we are the largest financial wellness training company in the country that
Wow.
operates as first responders for first responders. So in 2016, I decided to become a financial advisor and thought, you know what, I'm already teaching all across the state of
Mm.
Texas, and so that would be a natural fit for me just to work with my brothers and sisters.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what I'm hearing is that it wasn't like you were looking for a niche. There was a need and you were like, "I can fill this."
Yeah.
I mean, there's no better way to build a business than that.
Yeah, and that didn't mean there wasn't some fear in the aspect of
Oh, of
I
course.
mean, all the financial people were telling me, cast the wide net, and I'm like, no, I
Mhm.
only want to work with my brothers and sisters, and I bucked that trend, and I said, this is what we're going to
Yeah.
do, and it's turned out to be one of the most rewarding things I've ever done.
Yeah, that is amazing. And we chatted very briefly right before we went live, but how has focusing on just one audience like this, how has it changed the way that you market? Like, what platforms are you using? Because, well, one, you were or are a cop,
Or yes.
were. Okay. You were a cop. So you already know like where they're all going and how they access information. Does that change where you're putting information?
100% it does. And I see a lot of the marketing platforms out there and talking about all
Yeah.
the different. So we heavily use social media.
Mhm.
We use Facebook, we use Instagram, we use LinkedIn, and then we do a lot of marketing through a lot of the police and fire associations. And the problem I see in the advisor world when it comes to marketing is that everything is very
Mhm.
cookie cutter,
Mhm.
and it's the same stuff just with a different brand. And
Mhm.
we actually kind of went off on our own. Our social media team is actually comprised of a company that built their entire platform off of social media that focuses on first responders as well.
Wow.
And so they knew how to market social media to the first responder pages versus
Mhm.
just getting the cookie cutter stuff. And if I would tell you one thing when it comes to marketing,
Mhm.
cookie cutter is horrible. It has to be original content. Yes,
Yeah.
it's time consuming, but nobody's looking at the thousands of dollars in cookie cutter put stuff you're putting out there. The
Mhm.
algorithms are fighting against you so badly, and you're just burning money.
Yes. Amen. That's something we preach here. Custom. Do custom. And
Custom,
I love that you're not afraid of, going against the cookie cutter, and I mean that in more than one way, not just like, "Oh, there's stock content I can use," but you are specifically identifying the pain points that they have and how you feel them,
yep.
um, versus, "Here's what I do," and then trying to fit it to the audience.
Yeah, far too many people, and it's just not financial advisors, it's everywhere. You
Yeah.
try to too many people when it comes to marketing are doing things to check a box.
Mhm.
And checking
Mhm.
a box costs you money, it costs you time.
Yep.
And then you get frustrated and you go, "Well, I just wasted all this money and it didn't work, so it just doesn't work." And
Mhm.
the reality is it doesn't work because just like, as a cop, I wasn't specialized in financial planning. I had to go teach
Yeah.
myself how to do that. As a
Right.
financial planner or advisor, you're not specialized in marketing. That's otherwise you wouldn't be an advisor. You'd be in the marketing world.
Right.
And there's everybody out there wants to sell you a product. And so we have all
Mhm.
these things and we're like, I need to check this box. Everyone tells me I need to be on social media.
Mhm.
Everyone tells me I need to market this way. So let me go find a solution, not realizing that the solutions you're finding are catered towards the masses, not the
Yeah.
individuals.
Yep. So true. Um, so picking platforms where your audience are, specifically, not just because it's almost like a keeping up with the Joneses. Like I have to do what they're doing, otherwise I'm gonna look like I'm not successful. But beyond that, also the way that you are communicating. So I'm sure that you pick different words and phrases than other advisors do. In fact, I'm gonna share your website here. Maybe you can just kind of walk us through a little bit. Um, like what are some of the decisions that you made specifically because uh of the audience you're trying to reach?
Yep. So trust is everything in law enforcement. I always tell people it's a blessing and a curse to work with cops.
Mhm.
It's a blessing because most of my advisors are former cops. And so there's that
Mhm.
inherent trust because of that. It's a curse because if you screw one thing up, this is such a tight knit community, you're done. And
Mm.
when you start niching down into an area, you are niching down into a specialized target audience, which means they typically have specialized pages and specialized groups, and they
Mm.
all talk. And that was one of the biggest reasons why we chose to go fiduciary only instead of doing
Mm.
the broker route, is because
Mhm.
there's a little bit more of a trust aspect with that fiduciary only aspect of it. And people aren't worried about us selling products or making commissions. It's also a lot easier to build systems and scales and repeatable processes when you don't try to do everything and you just focus on one thing. But
Mhm.
we're very, very big on the trust aspect, just like law enforcement would expect. So you see the highlights of the fiduciary word. That is actually me in my sergeant uniform before I retired, just with my badge a little blurred out for the Grand Prairie Police
Mm.
Department aspect of it.
Mhm.
Um, we do talk differently when we talk to our clients. I give you a good example. When we talk about to a client, if we're talking about budgeting, we don't talk about budgets because budgets are
Mm.
boring. We teach cops how to build budgets based on what a SWAT raid is. A SWAT raid, before they do that raid, they do an ops plan before the month
Mm.
begins. They debrief throughout the after the plan to make sure everything was going according to plan, and they do a formal after action. Did everything happen on the SWAT raid that was supposed to, or what do we do next time we do one of these to make it more safe or efficient? That's how we talk about budgets. Same thing when we talk about building a financial plan. We don't talk about the steps of a financial plan. We call building a financial plan the 8 phases of financial training. Nobody
Mm,
gets to start training in law enforcement and skip to phase 4. They have to go through every phase, but our laterals get to go faster because they got experience. So if you're doing a little bit better with your money, well, we don't need to save an emergency fund if you already have one. We can fast track through that phase of training.
right.
Sometime people struggle in training in law enforcement, and we have to pull them out of training and put them in what we call remedial training.
Mm.
Sometimes the water heater blows up. We got to step out of the plan. We got to fix the situation. Then we go right back in the plan. So we do a lot of first responder centric terminology to correlate it to the financial planning process and the financial terms out there.
Yeah, I love that. I also I feel like yellow and blue is a very um first responder color.
Yep, it is. Yeah, we have our gold badges, and we have our, obviously navy blue uniforms is what we typically wear with that. You can see if
Mhm.
you scroll down a little bit more. I mean, that those are actually officers from my former department. So everything we do has first responder flair. We're adding a lot more
Mhm.
fire in there because we're getting a lot more inquiries from the fire department aspect of it.
Mm.
But from a marketing, again, you simplify things, right? You have your
Mhm.
funnels. That's one of the things I see a lot of financial firms do wrong, in my opinion, in
Yeah.
which they try to focus on too many things.
Mm.
We specialize in 3 things:
Mhm.
financial wellness training, fiduciary wealth management, and term life insurance. That's it.
Mm. Mhm.
Yes, I know there's arguments out there for the other things when it comes to annuities and all those other things, but the reality is we focus on 3 things and only 3 things. We become an expert at those 3 things, and when you start to grow, especially as you start to rapidly grow like we are, the
Mhm.
more simplified you have things, the easier it is to manage the processes, the workflows, and again, the scalable, repeatable processes.
Yep.
So
As made as scaling. Yep.
that's a good example right there, that legacy go bag worksheet, right? We all talk to our clients
Mhm.
about having that end of life packet. Well,
Mm.
for the law enforcement and fire world, we have what we call a go bag in our squad cars, which is if it
Mm.
hits the fan, we have water bottles, granola bars, extra ammunition, those things. So the legacy
Yeah.
go bag is a play on that. If you die today, would your family know where to go to pick
Mm.
up the pieces to the puzzle? So it's basically an end of life packet, but it's been rebranded to correlate with something that we all know in law enforcement, which is our go bag that we all have.
Right, and I'm assuming this is your a lead magnet, where I'd have to put my email in to get this?
Yeah, everybody said when I built my first website, you should give a free budget away, and I'm like, well, that's boring. Everybody has a free budget. Let's think of something unique, and so that
Yeah.
is a free 16-page PDF billable document, and we don't just provide it to them and say, here it is. It goes
Mhm.
into an email marketing system, but it also directs them to YouTube lessons on how to build this. So we've
Mm.
actually built out our own financial wellness online platform as well,
Mm.
um, similar to Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, for lack of a
Yeah.
better correlation of it, so that we're constantly not only able to provide them additional lessons on things from everything from budgeting to debt management to investment management to their deferred comp to their pensions,
Mhm.
but also by providing those online platforms, we actually have hours upon hours upon hours of online curriculum that we've turned into about, I don't know, probably 400 or 500 short 30-second video clips that can be
Mm.
used in social media that is direct target marketed as well with that.
Right. Um, and do you advertise this anywhere, or is it just strictly on the website and, you're getting leads from traffic?
Yep, it's on the website. It's advertised in our wellness training classes. When I say we're
Mhm.
the largest, we've taught about 100,000 first responders. Um,
Mm.
we
Yeah, look at
teach
all
an
these logos here.
we we teach an average of about 70 to 100 wellness classes a year based on word
Mm.
of mouth. So it's in there. But then we also take things like, I forget which month it is, but it's basically
Mhm.
leave a legacy or will and estate planning month. We'll go in and we'll
Mm.
target that module heavily in that month's social media to start driving people to download these things as well with that. And because we target just first responders, I mean, I'll give you an example. Our
Mhm.
Facebook page has just under 20,000 followers. Over the last 12 months, we have over 1 million views on that page with only
Wow.
20,000 followers.
Wow. And do you have a lot of competition in this specific niche, or do you
Not
feel
a
like okay.
Not a lot. There are more and more that are starting to get out there.
Mhm.
We're not the originals. There's some others have been doing a little longer than us. For some friends on the West Coast of ours that we're really close with. I will say on the national footprint of this, we probably don't have that much in the realm of competition, and a lot of it just being
Yeah.
because we've been doing this so long. We have those relationships. We're proud to be the official business partner of the Fraternal Order of Police, which gives us access to 45% of all the cops in the entire nation through that platform.
Mm.
But we've been doing financial wellness training for so long, and now that we've been doing the investment advising so much, we actually don't pay a dime for Facebook marketing or any ads
Mm.
whatsoever. We don't. It's all word of mouth.
Yeah.
It's all through
You
our
don't
social
need
media
to.
platforms. And if I were to tell you one thing when it comes to niche marketing,
Mhm.
it's it's great to be a niche marketer.
Mm.
The audience you're niching into has to believe you care.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things that our first responders know is that we run our company as a mission-based organization, not a
Mm.
financial firm. And so, yes, we're there to make money. Yes, we're there to do that. We give back like crazy. We're actually about to cross $400,000 in nonprofit donations back to our brothers and sisters.
Nice.
But they know that we're a for-profit company, but we do so
Right.
because we're doing this as we care about our brand. We care about our clients we serve with our first responder brothers and sisters, and that we will do everything to protect that brother sisterhood aspect of things and doing the right thing. So you can't just go into a niche market and go, I'm going to pick airline pilots and I'm going to focus on them. You will
Yeah.
never get the buy-in with that niche unless they
Mm.
truly know that you care and believe in their niche.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm. I love that. Also, this isn't niche specific, more just what I'm noticing on your site is, the call to action on most of the, sections is schedule a 15-minute discovery call. Could you tell us a little bit, like, who does the call go with? Like, what's the process or what made you decide to
Yep.
make the big, call to action there?
Yep. So the 15 minutes call goes to actually a financial cop that we call them the pre-vetter in essence. In essence, they're doing a 15-minute discovery call to ask about things like, what do you need? Are you somebody that just
Mhm.
needs financial coaching, in which we forward them to our online academy so that we don't have to spend the time to go through that. We
Right.
will actually schedule one-on-one coaching calls with people that go through the whole academy to help them on that aspect with it. Or are you close to retirement, or do you
Mm.
have a 457 plan that we need to look at, or do you have you know IRAs that you want managed, to kind of really dictate which where do we need to funnel them to? Do we need to funnel them to a
Mhm.
full financial plan? Do we need to funnel them through a coaching platform? Do we need to funnel them through somebody that would be more of an account manager? I.e., you really don't want a financial plan. You just want somebody to manage your investments, which is a different level of service. So that's a pre-interview call to determine how you need to be taken care of and how do I get you to the right person on the team.
Mhm. Mhm. Love that. And I also believe I noticed that all or most of the people who work for you are also they used to be first
Yep.
responders.
Yep. All but one of my so we have 5 advisors, all but one used to be a first responder or is
Mm.
still currently serving as a reserve.
Mhm. So I feel like that would also help, that discovery call that they know the questions to ask. Not that you wouldn't train somebody new, but they're gonna have that emotional tie-in that someone
Yep.
else wouldn't.
Yep. We know the language, right? We can talk the talk. We know the
Yeah.
stories. We have the reputation. If somebody calls my old department and says, "Hey, what kind of cop or sergeant was he?" They're going to hear the real truth about who we are in that aspect, and that's why there's just a tremendous amount of trust in the people we work with.
Now, obviously, you were a cop, they're your brothers and sisters, there's that aspect and you wanna help them, but then also on the other side, how deeply did you have to understand the mechanics of their benefits, like pension systems and retirement options, before you felt confident saying, "Yeah, I can be your finance guy?"
Very deeply. One of the problems I see with, and we do have some competitors that do work with first responders, is most of
Mhm.
them don't fully understand how our pension systems work, and they're all different.
Mm. Mhm.
And so we had a little bit of a competitive advantage because we all have the pension. We're in the same pension system in Texas as most of the people we work with. But even with those people we work with outside of Texas that we have different pensions, they all pretty much work similar to each other. They're not hard to learn, but if you want to start to work with somebody, and again, this doesn't just correlate with law enforcement, it correlates with the pilots and all those
Yeah.
other groups, or maybe you're in the oil and gas world where they have a pension. If you
Mhm.
don't know the ins and outs of that pension, you're going to lose credibility right off the bat if they're
Yep.
asking you questions and you're like, I don't know. It's one of the things we're very well known for, is if you ask us a question about pensions, we know the answer. If we don't, we've built some pretty good relationships with a lot of the pension companies out there to be able to go, hey, you
Mm.
know what? I have a direct contact that I can call and get that. That's a new one I haven't heard of type say type
Yeah,
question.
right. Um, and then okay, so narrowing your focus, has it ever cost you business? Or do you feel like it's just made the right clients find you
Yeah.
faster?
It's cost us business in the sense of we've had people that reach out to us that say, hey, I heard about you from so and so. We'd like to talk to you about financial advising. And if you don't have a first responder nexus, we won't work with you.
Mm.
What do I mean by first responder nexus? Well,
Mhm.
we define first responders as anybody that works for a police or fire department, a
Mm.
record clerk, a detention officer. That department doesn't run
Mm.
without the backbone. So we have to take care of them just as much as we take care of the cops and firefighters.
Mm.
If you have a family member, so in other words, you're a firefighter and your mom or dad needs help, or your kids need help, we'll work with you on
Yeah.
that. But if your best friend calls, even if they have $1 million account,
Yeah.
not in our wheelhouse. Why?
Mm.
Because again, we're getting outside of our realm of expertise. And when you inject other things that aren't in your common systems, I
Mhm.
have to build out a whole new process for that, or I have to have a team member learn all of this stuff about that. That takes away from the mission of the first responders. And so, did it cost me $1 million account? Probably. It didn't cost me $1 million account, because the time I would have had to spend to build that process out for that, just like if you look at a different product line, whether, I'll use annuities
Mhm.
as an example. If I
Sure.
have to specialize and now go learn how to do an annuity for this situation,
Yeah.
well, that's taking my team away from the efficiencies we've already built. And I will tell you, when it comes to efficiencies, we have a process and a workflow for everything. My
Mm.
back end office team is not allowed to take an order from an advisor. If an advisor sends an email, says, can you do this? The response is, sure, as soon
Nope.
as you go do a workflow in Salesforce for it.
Good for your team. I feel like that's it's hard to stick to that. So, kudos to you guys.
As a business owner, I know there's business people looking at this. If you're not tracking your key performance indicators and how things are working, you don't know how your business is running. And if
Yep.
you're trying to track things based on emails, things are going to fall through the cracks. That's great when you're small. When you
Mm.
growing at the rates that we are growing, and you're doing the amount of business that we're doing on an annual basis, if there's not processes, you can't track the performance of it,
Yep.
and things will fall through the cracks. And when things fall through the cracks, people don't get taken care of. And when you're working with a niche, when they don't get taken care of, remember, they talk to everybody.
Yep, that trust is broken.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, yep, couldn't agree more with all of your statements. Just like you're talking about, we have a very specific set of things that we do. It's the same thing. I mean, it's for any business, really. Um, like I have people PR is so closely linked to marketing that we'll get a lot of PR requests, but that is not in my wheelhouse. I would have to learn and I wouldn't have the connections or the knowledge. It's like it's not worth it in the end, even if you're offering me so
And
much
unfor
money.
and unfortunately, our industry is so designed to do it that way, because
Yeah.
when you come in, you're told you gotta cast a wide net because this is such a tough industry to break into. And
Mhm.
then when you try to niche down, it becomes more difficult because you have all these clients that you had that don't fit that niche. We actually
Mhm.
divorced a lot of clients when we decided to go this
Mm.
route back in the day, and we just said, "You know what? It's just not a good fit. Let me help you find a
Yeah.
different firm." But it's tough because the industry is so designed to make you go, if they have a pulse, you should talk to them. But
Right.
But yet when you look across this industry and you look at some of the most successful firms, some of the biggest ones and the ones that are growing the fastest are the niche firms.
Mhm. Mhm. Um, Although it is important to pick the right niche, because we did have our last A.U.M guest talked about how he started with ESG and it just did not work. So he pivoted to Gen X.
Yep.
So, I think it's finding what works for you, and it's about being authentic, not just like, I want money, so I'm going to go work with this group of people.
If you don't love the niche you're working in, it will show and they will not
Yeah.
work with you. I mean,
Yeah.
why does law enforcement work so well with us? Because we love our brothers and sisters and our passion shows up in what we do with that and taking care of them. If you just pick a niche because you think, ooh, cops are really cool and I think I can make some money at it. It doesn't matter if it's cops, if it's again pilots, if it's oil workers, they see right through you if it becomes a greed. This industry
Mm,
is full of a lot of greed. And the
mhm.
reality is if you take the greed out of it, you will make more money because the passion is there. And if you're passionate about it, I worked more than I ever worked as a cop. And I
Yeah.
worked 4,500 hours of overtime in 9 years. I worked a
Wow.
crap load of overtime. I traveled. This will be probably my third or fourth year in a row with 50 different segments of flights. I
Mm.
travel like a madman. It's not
Is
work.
this
This
for
is
the classes? That's what you're
yeah,
traveling for?
yeah.
Gotcha.
But it's not work.
Yeah.
Because I love helping our first responders with this, and we have people all the time talk about how the passion that you guys have for helping us, it shows. And when they see
Mm.
that, they know the genuine people versus the non genuine.
Mm. That's very true.
We have competitors
Um,
that have been very successful, but the greed starts
mhm.
to and that's why we've broken into a lot of areas where we had big competitors that aren't necessarily as big anymore because of us.
Gotcha. Well, good for you. Bad for them. For an advisor who, is still sitting on the fence because they've been trained cast a wide net, and they're afraid to commit. Or maybe they've semi committed. I see this a lot. They say they have a niche, but they are not willing to say no to someone who's not in that niche because they think it's going to limit their growth. What would be the first real world step that you would tell them to take?
The magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding.
Mm,
You have to commit, right? My other
yeah.
I end my class with that quote and another quote that says, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're 100% correct."
I
Um,
like that.
you got to believe. The scariest thing I ever did in my entire life was deciding at 14 and a half years of service as a full time sergeant, jumping off a
Mm.
cliff and leaving and giving up my badge,
Wow.
which meant I didn't get my pension until age 60 instead of I would have started collecting it 3 years ago.
Mm,
I didn't have income. That was scary.
mhm.
But you know
And
what?
you were recently married, right? Because you said you
I'd
met.
been married for a little bit, but
Okay.
we had a kid. We just
Yeah.
had our second born was born about a year before that.
Mhm.
It was scary. Sometimes you got to jump in the deep end, and when you jump
Yeah.
in the deep end and you have to learn how to swim, it works a little better than trying to nibble in, right? If you think
Yep.
about going into a cold pool, if you inch your way in there, it takes forever to get into that pool. Sometimes you just got to jump in, and once you jump in, you go, yeah, that wasn't so bad.
Right. Yeah. Submerge.
And I'll tell you, when I left law enforcement and I jumped off that cliff to go in this, my whole philosophy was the worst thing that could happen
Mhm.
is it doesn't work out and I go back to being a cop.
Mm,
Damn, what a horrible
yeah.
thing. I loved being a cop. If you
Right.
jump into a niche and it doesn't work out,
Mhm.
what's keeping you from going back to casting the wide net? It's not like you can't go back and do it again, but you'll never know if it was going to work if you didn't try.
Mm, so true. I like that. Um, this was such a great conversation. I love hearing about this, the success that you've had and how it all came together. It sounds like magic. Not that it is, because I know you put in a lot of hard work to get to where you are.
I
And
got
I'm
one heck of
sure,
I got one heck of a team behind me though now helping with that too. So I
yes,
can't
and
do
I'm
it
sure that
without
you
them.
guys are still putting in the hard work, because even once you get to the top, to stay at the top, it takes work.
4 years ago, I had 1 employee, I have 10 now.
Wow, that is major increase. And do you have a coach that to help you with, like, the management part, or are you just learning on your own?
I've had multiple coaches. I said the efficiency side, shameless plug, Libby Grewe from the Efficient Advisor podcast was a coach of mine for a long time.
Mhm.
On the speaking side, I had my Deidre Van Ness was my speaking coach, even though I
Love
did a
Deidre.
lot of speaking. So yes, you can't be successful if you don't have coaches, folks. You got to
Mm,
spend the money, have the coaches, the business coaches aspect of it, the personal coaches aspect of it. If you want to grow and you want to grow fast and you want to become large, you can't do so without the coaching.
yeah. Yeah. Love it. Love it all. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And would love to hear how it continues to be successful for you if you ever have the inclination to give us an update.
Appreciate it. Honored to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And for those of you joining us, if you're too shy to ask your questions in the public forum, you're more than welcome to scan this QR code. You can ask me marketing questions one on one. If you have a specific question for Nick, let me know. I can connect you with him. Now, this will be probably my last A.U.M hosting episode before I go on maternity leave. So, the next few episodes, we will have guest hosts who will be taking my place. But they are all wonderful friends and amazing people in the industry. And I have no fear that they will take care of my blessed audience. So thank you for joining us, and I will see you in October.